Good evening. Thank you for coming and staying. Thanks to the organizer for this wonderful program yesterday and today, and for the great speech right now. It's my great pleasure for putting together. It's my great pleasure to give you a short introduction in the latest ILEA publication, followed by a performance setting up right now by Ishita, one of our authors and artists. My name is Johannes Hedinger. I'm the director of ILEA, the Institute for Land and Environmental Art, and we lost the image. Yes, as I said, ILEA. What is ILEA? The ILEA was founded 2016 with the aim for greater commitment to the environment through art, through the means of art. Since then, the Institute has producing and presenting exhibitions, research projects, publication, art, and creative projects, and has been organizing workshops, symposia, and residencies. Over the year, ILEA has become a research center in the fields of art and ecology, and a do and think tank in socio-ecological transformation through art and culture. Until this year, ILEA was based in Tenna in Safiental, and from next year on, it will be operating from Zürich. From 2016 to 24, we organized 5 editions of the Outdoor Biennale Art Safiental and the Summer School Art Academy. And the growing research program includes several multi-year transdisciplinary projects, a symposium called ILEA Talks, a residency and exhibition program, and a publishing department. So the ILEA Press is a cooperation with the art book publisher Vexer Verlag St. Gallen, Berlin. And we published so far Landscape 1 in 2020, Mass Movements in 21, Learning from the Earth 23, and today we launch What If Letters from the Future, to the Future, sorry. About that book, we have it on the table over there. So what if? Freedom of thought and the power of renewal starts or begin with this simple question. The letters into the future collected here in this booklet are not prophecies, but reflect a world in upheaval between hope and horror, transformation and speculation. They're also full of Zukunftslust. We can't translate that in English, so maybe enthusiasm for the future. This book brings together ideas and thoughts from visionary people, such as artists and thinkers, who call on us to use our mind and creativity to create a livable and sustainable future for everyone. So the book is divided in 3 parts. It's a collection first of 12 essays on the topic of possible futures, then a dossier with around 130 short texts from the last 2,500 years, and then in the third part, a documentation of the 15 art projects of the last Biennale. Just a few words about the texts and the authors. Some of them are also here, sitting in the audience, and over there. The first essay, starting with Hayat over there, questions the future for a shared aesthetic reality, so also as a society, as a work of art. In their joint text, artist Ravi Agarwal and the glaciologist Paulina Lopez reflect on the interplay between the ecological crisis, the different knowledge systems, and the subjective experience of the world. In my text, I write a letter to my almost 5-year. He's in the child program, so Anton. I wrote him a letter so he might understand the questions and the speculations, hopefully in a few years. Magali Dugu from the Biennale, we have her libretto of her contribution in it, in the book. It's an opera about cross-species zombie mermaid who rebels against the established power relation of a dominant way of life. Sociologist Harald Welz advised us in his contribution to look back in order to make a statement for tomorrow. His proposal is called reconciliation. And the 4 curators of the Biennale, Anne-Laure Franchette, Josiane Imhasli, Johanna Lesinovska, and myself, we embarked together on a collective writing experiment in which we create a new song for and to the future. Kim de l'Horizon advocates quiet quitting in their text against fear of the future and provides us with a witch spell for that purpose. Monika Ursina Jäger, also somewhere in the audience here, together co-written with Damien Christinger, a text for her for the Biennale work. She presented in the Biennale a video which dealt with the life circles of the trees and the rhythm of the earth. Annemarie Bucher reflects in her essay the development of the Alpine region and the possibility of a new ecotopia. Ishita, we will hear soon your performative reading of you direct your attention to the global south and uses example from the Amazon and the Sundarbans to report on alternative knowledge systems and the understanding of the future beyond the Anthropocene. And the last 2 texts, Dominique Landwehr provides an insight in oral history research we did in the Safiental, and as an epilogue we have Andre Wilkins reflecting on the end of the history and the last human. And his facet is, in times of crisis, culture is the key to change. Part 2 brings together around 130 fragments, quotations, speculations, warnings and hopes about possible futures. So this goes back 2,500 years, but the collection did not stop at the present day, so we used AI to make also prediction and generate voices from the future far into the 23rd century. And the last part, as I said, documents the 15 artworks from the last Biennale with a small short description and some images. So that's it. That's the cover. We do another more extensive reading next week in ZHDK, Zürich Hochschule der Künste. It's the Raum 4, so that's a typo, sorry, with a reading also with Hayat and Damian, maybe Monika and myself. And there will be a launch also in next year in Berlin. And in the end, I'd like to thank, of course. Thank you for your attention. Thank you to the organizer for this wonderful event. Thanks to all the authors and artists for their contributions. The production team for the beautiful book. Thanks also to the people who helped financing that, namely Lucius und Annemarie Burkhardt Stiftung, Stefan Mercator, Pro Helvetia, ZHDK, Verein Art Safiental, and all the backers from the We Make It campaign. And now, without further ado, it's my great pleasure to announce and introduce you one of our authors and artists with her performative reading of her text, Ishita Chakraborty. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ishita. As Johannes said, I'm going to read my contribution from the book, and I'm a visual artist. So I will read in my second-hand English, and it's more like a artist diary, they say. And I was prepared using my both hands, reading and moving the images. Now I have to do 3 things. I try. Thank you. Voices from the Global South, thinking beyond the Anthropocene. It's 4 in the morning, and I can hear the rain dripping through the green canopy. My body feels jet-lagged, and my mind has not yet arrived in Brazil. In order to get here, I needed to depart from everything I knew so far. And I had to drop the baggage of my own past. I'm still confused and disoriented between time zones. India, Zurich, Brazil. In my mind, maps have shrunk and the earth has become flat. It is like the Indian stationery shop maps I used to buy in my childhood to learn about geography. When I think of the places of the global south, where geography was constantly shaped, modified, and reconstructed by the exploitation, colonialism, and capitalism of the north, then I wonder if we, the people from the global south, have ever been able to drop this baggage of trauma. In my artistic practice, I'm trying to find diverse voices of resistance, put them together, and imagine a collective future in an era marked by the Anthropocene. But colonialism has never really left us entirely, and even on a personal level. Decolonization requires an incredible amount of energy and resilience. To talk about the knowledge system in which we function, it is thus important for me to first question how it is constructed. Many of the systems or beliefs originating in the global south were long seen by Western thought as primitive, non-conformative, and unscientific. However, some of them have since become interesting and even popular subjects of study. But when it comes to the general issues of climate, Western binary understanding tends to forget that in the global south, social, political, and ecological questions are inseparable. Western thought wants solutions for every problem, while separating nature from culture. I'm sitting on the patio and writing. It is late afternoon, hot and humid in the Brazilian Amazonian rainforest. An iguana is climbing a tree in the garden. I'm listening to an online talk by Jeremy Narby. According to Narby, the Anthropocene is a supposedly new geological era marked above all by the impacts of humans on the biosphere. The word is derived from the Greek words anthropos, which means human, and kainos, which means new, and roughly means the age of humans. It is not yet an official concept, but it seeks to draw attention to the impact of human activities like driving other species to extinction, poisoning ecosystems, deforestation, warming the climate, and leaving radioactive contamination and garbage all over the place. But is it really an appropriate name of our era? When we talk about the functioning of the biosphere, Naming the current geological age after humanity somehow overlooks the importance of all other species, including bacteria and plants. The term is also very unspecific when it comes to the responsibility for ecological damage. Indigenous people who oppose oil extraction in the rainforest are surely less responsible for degrading the biosphere than most people living in industrial societies. And naming the era after us also has narcissistic overtones, if only because no previous geological age bears the name of a single species. Instead of affirming the centrality of humans for the umpteenth time, it would be interesting to move beyond the anthropocentric frame that has enclosed Western minds for centuries and built a new, less destructive relationship with other species on this planet. As a visual artist, my research and fieldwork takes me to places like Sundarbans or the Brazilian Amazonas, where cosmological beliefs still remain at the center of many local communities. Sundarban, cutting across India and Bangladesh, is one of the largest mangrove forests in the world. It lies on the delta of Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna rivers in the Bay of Bengal. In colloquial Bengali, it is called Bhatit Desh, which means tight country, where water and land exist as one entity. In this place, not only are humans migrating due to climate change, other beings are also on the move. A fisherman told me that the fish no longer come close to the shore due to the rapid development of environmentally damaging tourism. A tourism which ironically often tries to sell the experience of an intact and mysterious nature. While attempting to understand these anthropocentric changes, I am simultaneously fascinated by the relationships between non-human and other than human beings, folklore and coexistence with an adverse environment. However, it was my primary interest in migration that took me to Sundarban, where I was exposed to the broader questions of climate migration and the fight for sustainable living. I spent most of my time there in the lowlands, on different islands, living with communities of local fishermen and boatmen, where I had the chance to delve into their world, but as an outsider. During this time, a veteran boatman named Jongoli took me to some small kharis during the day and night. Each time I went back, I spent a while with him, listening to the songs he performed while steering his boat silently through the mangrove forest, mostly late in the evening, or his storytelling sessions on Bon Bibi. Bon Bibi literally means the woman of the forest. Bon Bibi regulates every aspect of life in Sundarban. Reflecting the islanders' livelihoods and cultures, guiding them to live together with beings which are other than human. Bon Bibi also reminds us that the forest is at its healthiest when human communities have no intention to take more than what they need to survive. The mythical stories around Bon Bibi are still today performed in simple theatrical plays throughout the villages of the Sundarbans. I realized, if the forest is the stage, the flora and fauna, humans, animals, fishes, insects, birds, and spirits are the cast. As an artist, I have been thinking for a long time about what I should be doing with my research and with the experience I gather in the field. How can we reflect artistically and respond to the fact that the Anthropocene has established itself within everyday life? I started a conversation about such questions with my artist colleague, Shamrat Banerjee, who has been working in the Sundarbans for a couple of years. For example, his works touch on cosmologies from the Bengal Delta, which have become an interface between the amphibious ecosystems of the Sundarbans, which can breathe partly underwater, and the millions of people in this region who might have to either migrate in the case of extreme environmental events and rising sea levels, or at least adapt to a future aquatic environment. In our discussions, we agreed on a few common questions. What kind of storytelling is needed here? Who are the protagonists of the stories? Who is listening? And how can we create a platform where people have the possibility to narrate their own stories with their own voices? Marginalized people are more vulnerable to the climate crisis, and for hundreds of years, Western explorers, scientists, and artists have been the trendsetters and narrators of their stories. Still today, people from marginalized communities in the global south often remain mere subjects and are portrayed as voiceless, the victims of a Eurocentric gaze. I personally find this problematic because most such narratives lack authenticity. The stories are neither about humans nor about other beings, and they tend to get stuck in concepts that simply reinforce the imbalance between an authentic depiction and external gaze. Foreign lives thus become exotized and cliched, with little or no room for individual traits and ambiguities. The spiritual sphere is dismissed. The questions to be tackled through an artist's perspective thus include: who is native to the land, within a bracket, in this case Sundarban, and how can their lives be studied in an empathic way? How can we overcome all the pitfalls mentioned above? Banerjee mentions the example of Bengal's Pottochitro, where land and water are one body, and each plant, animal, insect, and every being has a spirit. Two other vital goddesses besides Bonobibi in Sundarban are Ganga Devi and Manasha Devi, who are all accompanied by other beings, are often hybrid animals. One of my favorite quotes is by Amitabh Ghosh, The climate crisis is a crisis of culture and thus of imagination. I believe that to imagine a future beyond the Anthropocene is not possible without raising questions about our practices, our institutions, and our systems. Staying in the Amazonian rainforest with an indigenous family, I shared their everyday life, close to nature, and I'm learning slowly about their animist belief system. To break down the hierarchical knowledge between humans and other beings, it is important to not only acknowledge other lives, but to create a larger space in which we all can coexist. This is my friend Vandria Burari. She's from the Burari community from Brazilian Amazon rainforest. She hosted me to stay at her place. And apart from this image, rest of the images are mostly photographed by me, and my diary notes I included in this performative reading. Thank you very much for your patience and being with all of us whole day. Thank you.